gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm sorry the Speaker is no longer here because she, frankly, hopefully inadvertently misstated the law. She said that with the decision by the Supreme Court, it would allow companies, even those that are countries or foreign governments, to affect our elections. That is absolutely dead wrong. It did nothing with the prohibition that remains, that does not allow, and has not allowed for decades, foreign governments or foreign nationals to affect our campaigns. This decision by the Supreme Court does not. The problem with this is, I haven't found a single person on the other side of the aisle that read the opinion. If they did, they know what they are saying is absolutely wrong. They call it the Disclose Act. It is, in fact, the Disguise Act. It was designed in secret. No effort to bring those of us on the committee on the Republican side into it. I asked for copies of it. They refused to give it to us. We, in fact, got their last manager's amendment 2 hours yesterday before we had to go to the Rules Committee to talk about our amendments. They disallow in this rule a single amendment brought forward by any of us on the committee that held the hearings. I had 5 amendments I asked to present. Several of them would require the unions to be treated the same as corporations. That was denied. They don't want you to have a chance to level the playing field. Look, in Alice in Wonderland, it is said, if I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense, nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't, and contrariwise, what is, it wouldn't be, and what it wouldn't be, it would. You see? That basically sums up the Speaker's statement. They want you to think it. If I had the chance under the House rules to speak to the public, this is what I'd say. This is your First Amendment. It's not my First Amendment. It's not the Democratic leadership's First Amendment. And yet they are auctioning off parts of this First Amendment by this bill. Why do I say that? Some people are more equal than others. If you happen to be a special interest that's existed for 10 years, if you happen to have a certain amount of money in your coffers that come from corporations, if you happen to have a certain number of members, it was 1 million, but some special interest said, we don't have 1 million, let's bring it down to 500,000. Okay, now it's 500,000. So those people, those interests, are exempted from all of the disclosure requirements in here. And here's the other thing they do under this rule. This bill allows the law to go into effect within 30 days without any regulations being promulgated. In fact, it's impossible for regulation to be promulgated. So those who have a true exemption don't have to worry about the law. Those who are trying to figure out how to comply with the law have to worry about if they make a mistake, because if they do, what happens? They are subject to criminal penalties. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the First Amendment to the Constitution. The First Amendment. That's talking about robust political speech. And you heard what my friends on the other side said, oh my God, we've had these ads against us. Oh, we don't like that. Oh my gosh, we got to do something about it. There's nothing this bill does about the suppression ads that were run against me in the last campaign. 3 hours before we closed the polls, robocalls to my district, including to my house, in which they say, this is a news alert, news alert. President Obama's won the election. It doesn't matter what happens in California. It's already decided. This has been a news alert. Now, no one specified an individual. No one specified a party. Very, very clever. The idea was to suppress those who were supporting the Republicans from coming out. It does nothing with that. I mean, people ought to understand this is a precious gift given to us by God, been recognized by our founding fathers, and we're fooling around with it here. Let me just tell you this. This bill allows us 1 hour to talk about this. 1 hour. Guess what we have spent 10 hours doing in this Congress? Naming post offices. We've named 61 post offices in this Congress. We are ridding the world of the scourge of unnamed post offices. We can spend 10 hours on post offices, but we can't spend more than an hour talking about the Constitution, talking about the First Amendment, and they're auctioning off pieces of the First Amendment in this bill. If you happen to be one of those lucky enough to win the auction, you don't have these disclosure rules, and you can continue to talk, and you can continue to make your political statement. But if you didn't win the lottery,
Gentlemen,
you're left out.
recognized for additional 30 seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is an affront to the Constitution. This is an affront to the proceedings of this House. And just because someone says it is, doesn't make it so. This is a Disclose Act that was designed in secret, giving unions and interests special exemptions. If you happen to be on the lucky side of the draw, you may like it. But you ought to weep, because this is a destruction of the First Amendment in the name of partisanship.